Kamaru Usman proves me wrong and defeats Joaquin Buckley at the main event during the UFC Atlanta Fight Night. Before I go into how Kamaru Usman won this fight, and the one thing I really didn't see coming, if you guys can, please hit the subscribe button and let's shoot for 10 likes on this video. Anyways, let's get into it. Kamaru Usman in this fight proved me wrong. And honestly, the big thing I kind of underestimated him, to be honest, I mean, the knees wasn't really that much of an issue as I thought it really would, as he took down Joaquin Buckley rounds 1 and 2, took him down for majority of the round, right? It was about like 4 to 3 minutes of ground control by Kamaru Usman in both of those rounds, where we didn't really see Joaquin Buckley really strike that much in those two. Rounds 3 and 4, right? We saw a little bit more of Joaquin Buckley striking. It didn't affect Kamaru Usman that much. Like he did catch him some shots, but it wasn't that effective enough to sway those rounds to Joaquin Buckley as Kamaru Usman took him down and Joaquin Buckley didn't get back up. And then we go to round 5. Joaquin Buckley won that round. Kamaru Usman, was trying to take him down. Buckley stuffed those takedowns and was outstriking him in round 5. On the feet, Joaquin Buckley, some shots did look a little wild. He was landing some, pretty decent shots. Round 5 is a good example of that. And then with Kamaru, offensively, he actually did as what I expected. As long as he keeps it at range, he can actually sneak some good shots in there, and that's what he did. You know what? He's like the jab was pretty solid with Kamaru Usman when he threw it, and then also, the one thing I would say is a little bit of a worry. There were moments of him, kind of getting out of the way, striking because Joaquin Buckley did throw some wild shots, kind of coming from Narnia, and he was able to dodge it. But there were a lot of moments where Joaquin Buckley was landing on Usman, and his striking defense, then he just kind of took it, and that's the thing I would say he would need to improve on the most from this last match is his striking defense. Did show some good moments to kind of getting out of the way, but I think that department needs to be better because honestly at 38, even though he didn't get dropped, didn't really get wobbled in that fight, Usman can't keep taking those shots, you know what I mean? And so yeah, it was better, but it still needs to have improvement, in my personal opinion. Which, to be fair, this is his first fight since 2023, so I'll give him a pass. If I have to give this a grade for Kamaru Usman, from A through F, I give it an A minus. Quite honestly, an A minus, maybe an A, to be honest. I want to bump it up to an A. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't like 100% perfect, but it was really damn good. A really damn good fight for Kamaru Usman, and yeah, I would say I underestimated the wrestling side of Buckley and Usman. I thought Buckley would be a lot better of a not better than Kamaru Usman wrestling, but in terms of his takedown defense and everything like that, he really showed it only in round 5 and not really in the early rounds. And I thought that in the early rounds, like against Colby Covington, he would be able to stuff a lot of the takedowns and got him, take him down, and didn't get back up. If I knew before the fight that Buckley's takedown defense was going to be a big issue in this Kamaru Usman bout, I would probably pick Kamaru Usman. But I thought that it was a lot better than it actually was, and Kamaru Usman got the better of Joaquin Buckley that night. And as much as yes, Joaquin Buckley on the book did take a loss, but this fight, in my opinion, makes Joaquin Buckley so much better. Whoever Joaquin Buckley goes against next, I kind of worry for them because this was a good learning experience. Being in these exchanges on the ground in a 5-round fight, he didn't look tired, and it's gonna grow. It's gonna be a good growing performance for Joaquin Buckley. Getting taken down 1 through 4. Now, heading into this next fight, he'll know, at least when he gets taken down from X, Y, and Z. And if he practices that during the training camp, that he's going to show up a lot better, in my personal opinion. He's gone super far with the 6-fight win streak to almost being ranked top 5 in the weight division. Sky's the limit for Joaquin Buckley. And honestly, he's gonna grow from this performance. I'm really excited to see Joaquin Buckley, in the future, seeing who he goes against next. What's his next route? But as for Kamaru Usman has a lot of options to go against next. And if I were Usman and I was smart, I would say to go against Bilal Muhammad. I personally think that this wouldn't be a Bilal Muhammad, like a fight night headliner between Muhammad and Usman. I think Usman's too big of a name to where, you know what, if I was a UFC, definitely won't be a main event, but I would definitely put Kamaru and Bilal as a co-main event to whatever pay-per-view card. Whatever is lacking depth of a UFC pay-per-view card, just put Usman and Bilal Muhammad there. This would be a good Q4 fight in the October, November, December cards. And there's beef between those two, right? They've had the incident during the podcast, during the interview, that they both have kind of spoken publicly about not liking each other ever since then. I wouldn't say not liking each other. I think there is a bit of an issue between them, and with them, they will get chippy during the lead up. I think this fight sells perfect, and in terms of the fight style, I don't think it will be a boring fight. Because they're both good wrestlers, I think Usman Bilal Muhammad will have similar vibes to Usman Covington one. That's what I think. I think, as much as Bilal Muhammad gets that bad rep of him being a boring fighter, X, Y, and Z, he'll have a similar to like the JDM fight where he's going to strike a lot more in this one against Usman because they're both good. They're both good wrestlers. So they can't, it's not necessarily that they can both get taken down. So they'll have to, throw some hands. They'll have to strike it out against each other. And they're both, and honestly, on the striking department, that's where I give it to Usman. I think Usman is 100% the better striker. But that's for a different conversation, different discussion. You know, it will be a fun striking bout between the two. And honestly, for whatever card that is happening later in the year, man, just please slide that in as a co-main event between the two. I don't think I don't think that fight will ever be a main event just because there's no way people will pay $80 for that fight. Maybe if the UFC wants to lower the price and maybe put like $40 for that fight, as the main event, I wouldn't mind that. Or $30, $20, whatever the cost may be. I don't really care. As long as it's not 80. You know what I mean? If it was ever a main event for a pay-per-view. But yeah, I think co-main for a pay-per-view between those two. That is what's next for Kamaru Usman. And yeah, that's gonna wrap it up right here. If you guys like this video and want more videos like this, please like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.